All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you again for joining me. I am Karen, and I'm part of the CTLE team. And today I'll be talking with you about uploading content to your on-ground course shell. This session is being recorded and will be available on our webinar page of the CTLE website. And I will put that in the chat for you. All right, this is what we'll cover today. So we're going to talk about the content area, creating modules, uploading content, adding a link, embedding content specifically. We'll just briefly touch about Flipgrid and or Padlet. These are a couple of applications that came up in our earlier session, so just thought it would be kind of nice to just throw those out there. Existing activities, you know, your assignments, discussions, your quizzes, exams, a little tiny bit about the discussion or the grade book, and just some final thoughts. So it's easy to think that the learning management system, they're only useful for fully online courses or those specifically designed to be hybrid. If you teach a class that regularly meets in person, why would you consider using an LMS? Well, the answer is that the online tools available in an LMS like D2L offer a one-stop solution for the out of the class support that students are expecting. Therefore, there's benefits to adding content to your course for on-ground and online courses. With that, the content area in D2L is the primary place to add your files and other learning materials and share them with students. It can also be used to organize all the course activities. You can share readings, course materials, handouts, other course content with students, upload these files quickly and in an organized way. And it's the most effective way to ensure they have quick, reliable access to important files. Plus, it may save you time, hopefully, from answering questions from your students that miss class on what they missed or what they need to know. If you're unsure with what to do, use your syllabus as a guide. When you think about what content to include in your course site, start with your syllabus. Your syllabus already outlines what topics the course will cover, when, and how students will be graded, and a description of any assignments and exams. Bringing these learning materials and activities to life inside your course site can be as simple as just transferring the information contained in your syllabus into the appropriate parts of D2L. Plus, with advanced planning, it will save considerable time in constructing your course. To keep from overwhelming your learners with a large quantity of work at once, it's important to chunk your content in a logical, intuitive way. And whichever method you choose, make sure it's intuitive and followed consistently throughout the course. A well-structured D2L course shell will be easy for your students to navigate, allowing them to focus on the content of your course rather than where to locate a given resource. Considerations for your organization and structure of your course should happen throughout the design process. Have a plan at the beginning, but also review as you build to identify areas that should be clarified. Now, before we proceed, I'd actually like to throw it out to you. What do you do, or what have you done with your course shells? And you can go ahead and unmute or type in the chat. Okay. So assignments, descriptions, copy content from the previous semester, everything needed for the course except lectures in the shell. Okay. Good deal. Thank you. Anyone else want to chime in? Yes, ma'am. Dr. Roberts.
That would be Candace. Yeah, you know, I've done it several different ways. I've designed my course, my on-ground course shell by week. So even if it met Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would still do it by week. So I would chunk it out that way. That also gave me a little bit of latitude so that if I ran a little bit over on Monday, I could finish that up on Wednesday and so forth. I've also done it by topic. I designed a course shell for a course that was a master course in undergraduate education that was for classroom management. And so we had about 8 or 10 key topics in the course. And so that I wanted to make sure the course was useful to other professors who might have a little bit different schedule than I did. So I put all the materials about building classroom environment in one module, and then all the materials about, working and communicating with families in another module, and all the materials about, specific management strategies, what to do when what happens in one module, so that it was really easy for them to find. And the students also knew what module to go to when they were looking for resources for particular topics. So I think it really depends on your course and your overall goal, for organizing your course shell. I think the important thing is figuring out what's going to work best for you. But either works.
Awesome. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? You load lots of notes, and you're trying to include short descriptions that would appear at appropriate time.
Yeah, I typically have a ton of notes, and I project those notes on the screen, and then we go down through them. But I also want to give some introductions to what you might call a module or a week. And I'd like those to pop up at the right time. And I don't know how to do that. In other words,
Okay.
Yeah, so that I'd like to add.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Anyone else before we move on? Awesome. Okay. So the first step in using your D2L course shell is to create your modules. And your modules are the containers for content and activities within D2L. And they provide the organizational structure for your course. While most modules are organized by weeks, they can also be personalized by topics, projects, resources, introductory materials, classroom community spaces. And thank you, Candace. You actually pointed out one of the things that was covered here. Once your modules have been created, they are listed in the course's table of contents, and they provide the structure again for your class. So a module must be created before your files or any of your content such can be added to the shell or to your course. You as instructors can arrange your content by changing the orders of the modules or the topics, moving topics from one module to the other, nesting modules within others. Your modules and topics can be hidden or deleted in the content area. You can set date restrictions for deadlines, availability for the items in the content, such as when students can access materials or when assignments are due. You can add a description. And some best practices to just keep in mind: create a getting started module to house your key course items, such as your syllabus, course schedule, other critical items that students should be aware of when starting a course. How to navigate the course, maybe an introduction, a quick intro about you, meet your instructor, things to that nature. So as instructors, you should make sure that your modules and topic titles are clearly labeled and easily identifiable. And each week or module of your course should ideally contain an organizer or overview page that you were talking about, Bob, and we'll talk about that, which informs your students about the week's activity. An organizer page can be thought of as a letter to your students that provide an introduction to a given topic, defines the learning objectives, details all the readings or assignments that need to be completed. And adding and organizing content in your course, it's easy, but it can be time consuming until you learn a few tricks. Content includes all the items that are part of your course. D2L allows you to place items in your content in a variety of ways. The upload files is pretty common to use, and that allows the upload of common files such as PDF docs, PowerPoints. These files are displayed within a document viewer in the course area. You could upload videos or audio files, create a file, and include embedding multimedia via your insert stuff option. You can apply an HTML template to a new document, which you can customize your topics according to your needs. With individual items in your course, be consistent with your terminology, i.e. don't flip-flop back and forth between assignment and projects. Just be consistent, call it one thing. Particularly for activities such as assignments, quizzes, discussions, consider using the type of activity in the item name. Make sure to differentiate between required content and optional or supplemental content. And try to keep your content clean and simple by using consistent fonts and color choices. Avoid using all caps or underlined text for emphasis. When using images, try to size them appropriately for display for the web. Now, the reason I actually have this here is one of the options is adding a link. So in the center, in our center, we're encouraging faculty, regardless if you're teaching online or on ground, to set up your Zoom sessions. That way they're already in there and done. When you do that, you can actually share these recordings by grabbing the link. Well, if you can grab your link to your courses and build those into your course, you can grab the recordings. So if you record them, you can grab those links as this is showing and add those into your course. Embedding objects means that learners are able to interact with internal items inside the D2L course shell rather than having to follow links and open new windows. If you attended our sessions earlier in the week, we touched on embedding objects. After you've created your, let's say, for example, a few years in Flipgrid, because Flipgrid came up quite a few times. And Melissa, thank you so much for these screenshots. They were awesome. After you created your Flipgrid, you select the share option, you copy the embed code, and you place that into your course. And Melissa also provided some fabulous instructions. Thank you so much. Good job. Padlet was another tool that was discussed earlier in the week. So if you use Padlet after you create your Padlet, you have the option to share it in D2L. And the steps for embedding either Padlet, Flipgrid, a YouTube video, they're the same steps that can be used for many online objects that have the share option. So for existing activities, create a plan for your interactive in-person sessions. And you can do those by having in-class discussions. So you can provide the class with a list of questions for discussion, ask your students to come up with responses by working in small groups, collaborating on the responses. In class assignments, you can provide the class with an assignment to complete during class time. And this option allows students to practice applying and synthesizing their learning while collaborating with their classmates and for you, the professor, with the professor. Your assignments in D2L allow you to collect and evaluate student work. Manage student work using an assignment activity gives you these benefits. It's paperless management of student work. The assignment activity provides a convenient database of student submissions that you can organize and manage online. Grading and feedback through D2L. The assignment activity includes a grading interface through which you can enter grades, provide feedback to each student. You can do due dates, which will automatically appear in the calendar. If you specify a due date for an assignment, that date will appear in the calendar. Your students can see at a glance where their work will be due. And once you create your assignments, your quizzes, discussions, pull them into the respective module via the existing activities option. And that's your second button here. With having a grade book, you don't need to worry about maintaining enormous volumes of student grading documents manually. Once entered, the information is preserved and protected. The gradebook provides students with 24/7 access to grades, any feedback you'd like to provide to them. Well, that went along really quick. So just some quick final thoughts, and I'll open it up for some questions and so forth. But don't be overwhelmed. You don't need to have all the content for your entire course completed before the term begins. After you set up your course structure in D2L, the rest of your content can be added weekly as the term progresses. When you take some additional traditional teaching tasks and bring them into the online environment, faculty and instructors will have more time to provide support and additional instruction to students during in class. And this reduces the amount of time instructors spend meeting with students outside your class time. As you develop your course content, all of your course content, your learning materials, assessment, activities, discussion threads, etc., is available to you in one place, which helps keep you organized. And the best part is once you've built the course content, you can reuse it again by copying components into another course offering. And copying components saves you from having to recreate your course's resources and can significantly reduce the amount of work required to create or re-offer a course. Now, the topics that we covered today, if you need assistance, any of us on the team can help you. We also have step-by-step instructions available on our D2L teaching resources page, and I will put that link also in the chat. Now I see it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cover a couple questions. So if you want to include, bear with me just a moment. And Bob, you want to do an overview for the module, for example? Okay. All right. Bear with me just a moment. So what you could do within your module, so after you've created your module, we'll pick this one, getting started. So here underneath my getting started, where you can add your date restrictions and add a description, that's an option for you. And it will show. Got it? Make sense? Cool. And if you'd like to see it from the student view, and there's your instructions. Okay. In order to copy content from one course to the other, you actually want to be in the course that you want to copy into, and we call that the destination. So come over here to your course tools. And you'll select this import, export, copy components. This first option here, course to copy. So you want to search for the offering. So pick the course you want to copy from. You'll find that course and you'll add selected. You'll see it populated in here. And then these two options down here at the bottom will open up copy all components, select components. Your select components will just pick pieces of it, or you can pick all your components. Screenshots regarding sharing content from Padlet to D2L. Yes, it is pretty easy. And we will do a quick little demo of that. So I actually have a Flipgrid. And I'll do Padlet. Actually, we'll do Padlet since you mentioned Padlet. So here is my Padlet. And I come over to share. And I come down to the embedding your blog or your website. I copy this embed code. And then I head back over to D2L. Go with module 1. This is one way you could do it. Oh, sorry, wrong one. And remember, when you add content to your course, in case you didn't know this, when you add content to your course, it adds it to the bottom. And if you actually want to rearrange it, use your crossbow and drag and drop to where you would like for it to be. And here's our Padlet discussion. You can also create a file. It's taking its time. There's a couple different ways to do it, but one of the easiest ways is this HTML source editor. You could select that. And paste it. And here we go. So any questions, any further questions? Anything anyone want to add from the team?
If there are things that you want to embed, that is the right spot under video and audio, or like she showed you, to be part of the HTML. So either or, but I usually just click video and audio because one of the selections is embed. So like Padlet, any of the other ones that will give you an embed code, you could even have a video from somewhere to embed. You can put in there, if you have a YouTube video, you can just directly put the URL in there, and then the YouTube video would show up as well. So it's just good to know that you can put other content that isn't necessarily just a link, but it actually shows the actual content up in there for the students to see.
Hi, Greg. Maybe not so much related to the topic question, but if we're talking about the videos that I embedded, I experienced a couple issues with the YouTube videos that I embedded, and I'm trying to listen and watch with students on Zoom. I see and hear everything and they don't. Do we have this kind of, is it something I'm doing wrong, or
Are you the one sharing or are they sharing?
I'm sharing? Well, it's actually embedded in our D2L. It's in the course shell. So I click on it, it opens up, they see it, they see the lips moving, but there's no sound.
And this is
So
happening. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Sorry, go ahead, Karen.
No, please. You actually talked about videos earlier, so.
You it.
Yeah, so a couple things with video in Zoom. Make sure when you go to share, there's two options at the bottom that say audio, sharing your audio, and then enhance your video for audio or something like that. I can't remember exactly how the wording is, but you want to make sure both of those are checked. So that way audio that's from your computer pipes through for everyone else in the Zoom meeting to hear it. But if you're doing a Zoom YouTube video, I would just go to the regular YouTube website and then select it and play it. But if you have both of those checked, then essentially the student should hear that play along with you hearing it on your end on your computer.
You know what I just remembered? When I'm at home or on my laptop in the office, it's not a problem. It's those stationary computers that are in the classrooms. Those are the ones that were always giving me that problem. So there's no way automatically like preset it if you're sharing a video instead of me going every single time and making sure that box is checked.
I don't think it's, Daniel, I don't think it's default. I don't think you can set it by default. I think every single time you have to check it, unfortunately. So that's can be an issue.
I don't know of it either.
Right.
Yeah, because I had a observation when I was in the classroom, and Dr. Spoto was observing me, I remember, or already Heather Parker at that time. And I prepared so many cool things like short videos that we were supposed to analyze, and like, oh my God, nothing is working. So that was such a bummer. Oh my God, that was so bad. So it's just, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those things right now that until Zoom hears from enough folks who want the ability to turn that on automatically, it's one of those things you just have to try to remember to check every time. It's annoying, but.
Yeah, but some computers are fine and some are just chronically not fine.
Even if you check the boxes.
And can you show me where is it, what I should look for?
In Zoom, it's when you share your screen.
Oh, when I share the screen. Okay. So right now you are in Zoom sharing the screen. So where should I go? Like you are in Zoom sharing, like what should I click? The microphone?
You have to have the host controls. And so when the host shares the screen, you get the pop-up window with all the available applications and browsers for you to display. And at the bottom of that screen, it doesn't even take up the whole window, it just pops up right in the middle. And when you select what you want to share at the bottom of the screen, there are two places for you to check. And one says optimize audio for screen sharing. The other one says something about video. I can't remember the terminology offhand. Okay. We have some screenshots of that, I think, on our Zoom resources page. I'll send it to you in just a second.
Okay.
I think Melissa just posted about support Zoom, share screen, sharing computer sound.
That's everything you see on that page is going to be exactly what you'd find on our website too. So
share screen.
Bob, to answer your question, I'm sorry, Natalia. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I got it. Thank you.
And Bob, to answer your question, so you would actually build that getting started module. So as you can see here, I have a getting started module and I just built that. So if you have a brand new course, we'll just say you just add a module. And there you go. Is it good? Got it? Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like for me to show you? You have any questions?
Can you touch briefly on the bookmarks? What exactly should be in the bookmarks? I never use it, so I'm not sure what it's for.
So if you would like to bookmark a particular, I believe it is item or topic. That one I haven't played with too much, but let's see if we could get it.
I just never used it, so I guess it's not essential, but it would be good to know it's there. So
I believe you can select it and then add the bookmark. That's a good question. Oh, there we go, right here. So here's the module, and then there's a little bookmark right there. You select that, and it will add it to your bookmarks on your page.
So it bookmarks the entire module.
No, just that content area, that particular item.
Oh, okay. Oh, the task. Okay.
Let's see, we'll do something else. So video fun, I'm going to open up Flipgrid. And I'll bookmark that. Go back to my table of contents. There you go. And a shortcut.
Oh, okay. I never knew that little thing was a bookmark. Okay, good to know.
Bookmarks would be great for all of our education templates. That sounds good.
You know what I'm not sure about with the bookmarks that we could check into is I don't know how that permeates throughout the course. So I don't know if your students are able to also bookmark things. Does anybody know that? If you're in student view, can a student bookmark what she thinks is important?
I think so, Melissa. Let me see. We can do this a couple different ways. We'll go in the content and see if they see it. So they do see the bookmark. And then let's look at as a student. Is a real student. Well, a fake real student. Really fake student. So they don't see the bookmark. Let's see if they can bookmark their own. There we go. So it looks like it bookmarks for them. But interesting though, when we did a student view, it showed it as bookmarking.
So I have to bookmark for them to see, or they can bookmark themselves.
They can bookmark themselves.
They can bookmark.
Yeah, I don't think you can bookmark for them to see at all. I think it has to be the student.
But it was really weird that we bookmarked
Yeah.
it and we did a student view and it bookmarked it.
I think it was still, or I think it was because it was still you. So as soon as you impersonated someone else, all of your bookmarks disappeared. So even though you were viewing as a student, the student was still you. That's purely speculative, but that's
It makes
my
perfect
best guess.
sense.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. Bob, you're about to construct a new shell for a new course. Would you recommend that I make each module a separate document for uploading? What do you mean, a separate document? So like if you're asking as far as like an overview for that module, yes, it wouldn't hurt. And Candace, forgive me, you do something similar to this, correct? For your courses, you do like an overview for the module or the topic?
In my on-ground courses, I I don't always do an overview for a module. If I do, I usually use the announcements or just upload a separate document into the module. In a single module, I might have 3 or 4 documents, an article, a link to a video I want them to watch or that I'm going to, pull up in class. I would not create a separate module for each document. I would decide on my organizational structure. I think a lot of times for students doing the modules by time. So whether that's, a week, 1 module per week or 2 modules in week 1, depending on whether you have a 16 or 8-week course, and then organize the stuff within that module so they can easily find it. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
What I'm wondering about is how do I get stuff into each module?
So that's where you go. You build your modules first.
How do I build my modules?
That's this selection, this down here,
Okay.
where we have add module. Even though
Right.
they call it a module, you can do like what we said, week 1 or by
Okay.
topic, etc. Once you have that built, and you select one of these. So new.
Okay.
So if you wanted to upload a file.
Right. Okay, that's why I thought I need a document for uploading. In other words, the content of the module I have in a separate document, and then I could upload it.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I have Flipgrid pulled up on my other screen and it's waving at me. So I think of one of you need a assistance. Have fun. Anything else I can answer? All right, well, thank you again for your time. And I will stick around a little bit longer if you have further questions or concerns or, comments. And just thank you again from myself and the team. And
Thank you.
please reach out to us if we could help you. Any of us on the team can walk you through, these steps. Again, the recording will be available.
I have a question.
Ma'am.
Not related to this specifically. I just saw it, turn it in, like you have it in here in module 1, turn it in paper. And I remember there was an issue, not an issue, a situation when one of my students got pretty close to reaching the limit for plagiarizing because I set it at 25% because we do a lot of references and all that. And I wanted to share the turn it in report that's highlighted in different colors with a student so he or she would know what to address when to fix the paper when he or she would start working on the paper. And I couldn't do it. There is no option to share this colorful scheme with the student. I had to do the screenshots and share pieces, which was a big paper, and it took like 7 screenshots to do this. Is there an option that I can share that report that says, for example, 18% match and colors from where these things came? I just didn't find it.
Do you have, so you make that available for the students to be able to see their originality score?
Yeah, they just see the score, just the score, but can they actually see the text, their own text that's highlighted?
They can, yes. So they can select that originality, the box, they can select that and it will open up. And over on the right-hand side, it will, let me see if I can show you what it'll look like from a student point of perspective. But it'll highlight what's in question and talk about or like identify where the source is coming from.
Right. So I need them to see that page specifically. I just didn't know. They asked me how to see this and I couldn't. I see it, but they told me they couldn't find it.
Yeah, bear with me just a moment. We will. If you have that enabled for them to see it, yes, they should be able to see it.
Also, I have to enable that because I enabled just to see the originality score.
Exactly.
In the Dropbox, like it populates right away.
Bear with me just a moment. Double check a student that I actually have something submitted for.
And then while Karen's pulling that up, I did want to mention the difference if you're embedding and you go through the video upload compared to if you go to create a file, like on a new page. The difference there and in the PDF that I attached is I typically go through the file settings instead, but that's because I like to put the instructions around whatever is being embedded. So if I have a Flipgrid or if I have a Padlet and I need to insert some text or some information that I want to show up right above the Padlet or the Flipgrid, that's why I tend to go to file and then embed it there rather than the video link out. So if it's just a video, that's what I use, the audio video. But if I need to include some sort of instructional information around whatever it is that I'm embedding, that's when I'll go to file, because then you can use text and that kind of information above it. You can just type it in above the code, and you'll see it's actually quite easy to do once you've embedded it. You can work around that, whereas that's not the option if it's a direct link out.
Okay, and it doesn't matter. It will be still interactive. Students will be able to type in, right? It doesn't matter. Okay.
Correct. So you'll see on the screenshot that I have of the Flipgrid, there's a long image that has a lot of instructions, and then you see the Flipgrid. That's because I went through create a file and then embedded it into the file. If I had done it through video, audio, the really straightforward way, I couldn't have put those instructions with it. So that's why it's just something to keep in mind with how you want the students to interact with it. And if you want to, where you want to include your instructions.
Okay.
So it works in any of those spaces, though. Anywhere where you see that embed option in D2L, the little brackets with the slash, anywhere where you see that where you can put in the embed code, it'll work. But there are a couple of ways to do that. So I just wanted to clarify why you would go different ways depending on how you want it to look in D2L.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with Flipgrid yet, but I'm playing with Padlet. And Padlet, I find it very useful, for students to show what they want to say without actually saying it. So just type it in. So it's really good. So it doesn't matter, right? Whether it's video or file. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, good to know.
Candace, before you
No problem.
Okay.
No hurry.
Natalia, over here. So see how the mouse changes? The student can select that. But unfortunately, this one has a 0 originality, but still you can follow the the same process.
And I don't have to do anything special, right? Enable it, anything. No,
as long as you enabled them to be able to see the score, they'll be able to access this.
Oh,
and then over on the right-hand side, over here.
So many students, how can I see the report? I don't know. I saw it, like my view is different. So I was taking screenshots and sending it to them. Oh, so it's that easy. Okay.
And then the match overview will be whatever number you could,
Okay.
whatever they have, and they select it, and then it will give them a list.
Yeah, that's the page I couldn't make them see. Okay, now I know what to tell them. All right, thank you. Or I just learned something new.
Yay! Always good. Candace, what would you like to add?
Sure. Would you let me screen share?
Of course. Or do you still want to record?
Sure. Natalie, it still says I'm disabled from screen sharing. So Natalie, I just wanted to share with you a concrete example of what Melissa and Karen were talking about in terms of embedding the code. This is a course that I developed 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know if I'm sharing the right screen. Are you looking at a D2L course shell?
Yeah.
Okay, great. It's not, I don't have a lit up thing around it, so I wasn't sure. So this was probably about 4 years ago, before I knew as much as I do now. So it's really primitive, but So during week 5, these were all the different resources and articles we used in class. Now this was not an asynchronous course. I didn't expect the students just to jump in and know what to do. I just housed all of my resources here so that I could refer to them and they would have access to them. My PowerPoint for the week was often the organizational structure for it, and they would know where to go to get what. But my point here is, if you notice each of the different types of things that have been uploaded. So a PDF document is the first thing, then links to different things, videos or articles or whatever. But all the way down here is my link to a Padlet that I used that week.
Oh.
And I didn't know about embedding. So when I uploaded it, I just went to the area where I went to New, and then I saw create a link. So I thought, oh, well, this is what I'll do. I'll embed my Padlet link here. And all I did was copy it. You know, I put Padlet link for the title and then I copied it in. But as Melissa was saying, the disadvantage to that is there's no description here on any of my items, but there's no description here about what that was, what I expected you to do. I didn't explain it or anything. When I click on the link, it does take me directly to the Padlet link. But clearly, now that I know about, you know, embedding it in a different way, I would want to take advantage of being able to provide a little bit more information, you know, right there in the module. And as Melissa said, if you pick, and Karen both said, if you pick audio or video, I think, is it both of them, uploading files and audio video, that you can provide text to go with it, around it?
Not that.
No,
Not this one.
That's you can do the embed code, but if you do the
file?
create a file.
Create a file.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
No, create a file.
Not add a file, but create a file. So you're creating you're actually creating a piece of content there in the module. So here we go.
Okay.
And this is where, like, you could use the little embed code at the bottom
There we go,
right
yeah.
screen.
Yeah, so you can type in here anything you want, and then that would show up along with your, you know, along with the link. So I just thought it might be helpful to see, you know, I'm a visual person, and I just thought it might be helpful for you to see sort of a rudimentary way of doing it, which was my example, as opposed to what they were explaining about why it's, you know, really useful to embed a code. So I don't know if that was helpful or not. But.
Thank you. Yeah, I went through the same process like you did, because last summer when we were all preparing switching, you know, to Zoom, and it was all new, and I'm creating 6 courses over summer without training, without knowing. So I poked around a lot, and yeah, I did your way. Just add a link and that's it. Now I know there's a better way.
Options.
All right. Cool.
Thank you, Greg, for posting those again. Much appreciated. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.